Hi, everybody. It is March 21st, 2019, and we are continuing the Zohar. We are currently on chapter 21, item 65, paragraph 2, on page 10 of that chapter. You can find the instructions how to join us on Zoom and read along with us live in the description of this video. And we can also email you how to get access to the electronic version of this Zohar that we're reading. Rick's going to screen share the text. Oh, there it goes.
And he is a son of the upper world, upper Abba Ve'ima, who always impart from the perpetual Zavug every life, every light, every oil of greatness and glory. This is so because the king, Zeranpin, is son of Yovel, from which the Mohin of freedom is poured, meaning the illumination of Hakma. And he is also the son of Abba Ve'ima, whose Savug is perpetual and never ceases, and all the Mohin come from them.
This is why he is called free and not the son of freedom. And the firstborn son, Zerampin, imparts all the Mochin of Yovel and the upper Abba Ve'ima to this land. To the Nukva, as it is written, my son, my firstborn, Israel. This is said of Zerampin, who is called Israel, and he is called firstborn son, when he has all those Mochin, which is why the text says about her, happy are you, O land.
Woe unto you, O land, when your king is a boy, for then the bottom land and the world nourish off the government of the foreskin, and everything is drawn down only from a king who is called a boy, meaning Ma'at. Woe to a world that needs to nourish in this way.
This boy, Matat, has nothing of himself except for the blessings that he receives from the Nukva for a certain time. And every time he was deprived them, since the moon was flawed, meaning the Nukva, and she was darkened, Matat was denied the blessings. Woe to a time when the world needs to nourish its sustenance from him. Moreover, the world is judged by many judgments before it nourishes off him from the klipo, since then everything persists and is done in judgment.
And Sarah died. Her death was not by that slant serpent, the angel of death, and he did not rule over her as he rules over the rest of the people in the world, for all people die by him, since the day Adam caused them death, caused them kiss that is written about them, according to the word of the Lord, and for the honor of divinity. It did not say about Miriam, according to the word of the Lord, although she too died in a kiss.
I apologize to anybody whose sound cut out in the recording. It's my internet reception, but the text is all there for you to see. 69. But regarding Sarah, it is written that she died in Kiryat Arba, above and not by another. In Kiryat Arba, and not in a serpent. In Kiryat Arba, which is Hebron, where David bonded with the patriarchs. Hence, her death was not by another, but in Kiryat Arba.
There are two discernments to Malhut, fourth and seventh. Above the Parsa, from the Hazeh di Zerampin upwards, she is called forth to the patriarchs, which are Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, and she is called Malhut of David, as well as Kiryat Arba, and she is the corrected one, called the land of the living, of whom it was said, Happy are you, O land, for your king is free.
And with respect to below the Parsa, from Chazé de Zerampin downwards, she is regarded as seventh to the sons, which are Netzahod Yesod, and she is called Malchut of Joseph. This is why it is written that the meaning of Kiryat Arba is the upper one, meaning Malchut of David. For she is the upper one, above Parsa de Zerampin, and not the other one, which is lower Malchut below the Parsa, called seventh.
In Kiryat Arba, and not in the serpent. This is why it is understood from the text that she did not die by the discernment of the serpent, which is the angel of death, for he has no authority and hold in the Malhut that is above the Parsa, called Kiryat Arba. And Kiryat Arba, which is Hebron, means that King David connects to the patriarchs, which are Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, above the Parsa di Zerampin. Hence, her death was not by the angel of death, who extends from the lower Malhut, but in Kiryat Arba.
When one's days exist in the upper degrees, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzahod, Yesod, Malchut, one exists in the world. Since he still does not exist in the upper degrees when he completes the life of 70 years, which extend from the seven Sephiroth, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzahod, Yesod, his days depart the Sephiroth and descend below the Sephiroth. Finally, they approach the degree where death is present, meaning the angel of death, who is below the Sephirah of Malchut, where it is said, sin crouches at the door.
And then he receives permission to take out the soul, and he flies the whole world in one flight, and takes the soul and defiles the body, and the body remains impure. Happy are the righteous who are not defiled, and no impurity remains in their bodies.
This is an evidence that the angel of death did not rule over Sarah, since it has been explained here that death comes to a person after he exits the seven Sephiroth and goes below the bottom Malchut, the place of the angel of death, who then receives permission to takes out one's soul. Thus, Sarah never descended below the bottom Malchut, but died in Kiryat Arba, which is the upper Malchut above the Parsa, at the place of Chazé de Zerampin. Hence, it is certain that she did not die by the angel of death.
A bright path is tied in the middle of the firmament. This is the serpent of the firmament, called by astronomers the Milky Line, where all the thin stars are tied and stand in it in great numbers. They are gathered and stand in it like a myriad innumerable mountains, and they are appointed over the secret deeds of the people in the world.
Similarly, several groups of lights of Klipot came out to the world from that first upper serpent by which Adam was seduced. And they are all appointed over the secret deeds of the world. Therefore, when one comes to be purified, he is assisted from above, and the help of his master surrounds him, and he is kept, and he is called holy.
When one comes to be defiled, several groups of lights of Klipot are intended for him. who are all in him and surround him. All the deeds of the wicked, Bala Alam, were from the side of impurity. All the types of serpents and witchcraft in the world are tied and stem from that primordial serpent, which is the filthy spirit of impurity. Hence, all the charms in the world are called serpents, after the primordial serpent. They all emerge from that side, and all who follow witchcraft is defiled.
Moreover, if one wishes to perform a spell, one must first be defiled, so as to extend that side of impurity over himself. This is so because as a person awakens below, so he draws upon himself from above. If he awakens from below on the side of holiness, he draws upon him holiness from above, and he is sanctified. And if he awakens below on the side of impurity, he draws upon him the spirit of impurity and is defiled. This is why it is said, he who comes to be defiled is defiled.
Thus, to extend upon himself the spirit of impurity from the upper serpent, wicked Balaam would defile himself every night with his mare and would perform intercourse with her so as to be defiled and to draw upon himself the spirit of impurity. And subsequently, he would perform his deeds in magic.
I wonder if they made a video of that. 77. In the beginning of his deeds, he took a serpent from among the serpents and tied it before him. He split the head of the serpent and took out its tongue. Then he took certain herbs and burned them all and made a single incense out of them. Then he took the head of that serpent and split it into 4 sides and turned it into a single incense.
Around it, he drew a single circle and would say things and do other deeds until he drew upon himself the spirits of impurity, which informed him what was needed, and he acted by their words according to what they knew from the side of that serpent of the firmament.
From this he had knowledge and knew magic spells. And this is why it is written, he did not go as on other times to seek serpents, meaning actual serpents, since the essence and the root of impurity and the beginning of everything is only in the serpent.
Types of witchcraft in women. Why are all types of witchcraft and magic in women? It is because when the serpent came over Eve, he cast filth in her. He cast only in her and not in her husband. And the spells extend from the filth of the serpent. This is why witchcraft is in women.
81. Balaam learned all those charms that he did from his father. But he learned all the charms and all the spells mainly in the mountains of the east, which are the eastern land. This is so because the kings Azza and Azael, which the Creator dropped from the sky because they complained against man's creation, dwell in those mountains. They are tied there in iron chains and alert charms to people. And it is from there that Balaam knew, as it is written, from Aram Balak brings me, the king of Moab, from the mountains of the east, the place of Azza and Azael.
He did not go as on other times to seek serpents, but he set his face toward the wilderness. Does this mean that he did not always go toward serpents? The bottom side, which comes from the spirit of impurity, above is the spirit of impurity that governs the wilderness when the children of Israel made the calf to be defiled by it, which is a lower one. Hence, he set his face toward the wilderness, and he performed his magic from all sides, so he could uproot Israel, but he could not uproot them.
When Israel stood at Mount Sinai, the filth was stopped in them. And when Israel received the Torah, the filth ceased from them. And the idolaters who did not receive the Torah, the filth did not cease from them. Hence the filth had ceased from women. Thus, why are charms primarily in women?
The Torah was given only to males, as it is written, and this is the law which Moses set before the sons of Israel. Thus, women are exempt from the commandments of the Torah, meaning commandments of action, which are time dependent. This is why their filth did not cease at the time of the giving of the Torah. And for this reason, the charms that extend from the filth of the serpent are found primarily in women.
85. Moreover, after the calf, they all returned to their filth, even the males. And the women found it hard to separate themselves from the filth even more than the men. This is why there are more women than men in this witchcraft and filth, for it is hard for them to part with the filth, since women come from the left side and were attached to the harsh din on the left. This side clung to them more than to the men because they come from the side of harsh din, and everything follows and clings to its own kind. Oh, my witch friends are not going to like this part.
I guess you can always find them a horse video. The spells extend from the filth of the serpent because Balaam defiled himself first to draw the spirit of impurity over himself and then perform his magic. Similarly, a man should keep away from a woman in the day of her impurity and avoid touching her because she clings to the spirit of impurity. And if she performs witchcraft at that time, she will be more successful than on other times. Hence, everything she touches becomes impure, and especially anyone who comes near her. Happy are Israel, for the Creator has given them the Torah and said to them, "You shall not approach a woman during her menstrual impurity."
Like they had to tell me. 87. When one observes the tweeting of fowl to know the future, why is it called a serpent and witchcraft? It is because it extends from that side of impurity, since the spirit of impurity is over that bird, which announces things in the world. And every spirit of impurity clings and comes to the world from the serpent, and there is none who is saved from him in the world, for he is in everything, until the time when the Creator is destined to remove him from the world, as it is written, and death shall be swallowed up forever.
The cave of Machpelah. Abraham knew the sign in that cave of Machpelah. His heart and desire were there because he first entered there and saw Adam and Eve concealed there. How did he know that it was they? After all, he did not know them from before, but he saw the shape of Adam and observed it. An opening of the Garden of Eden was open to him, and he realized that that form of Adam was with him. He realized that because he was in the Garden of Eden in his life, upon his passing, he was rewarded with a burial at the door to the Garden of Eden.
89. Anyone who observes the shape of Adam can never escape death, but must die instantly. This is so because when a person departs from the world, he sees Adam HaRishon, and at that time dies. But Abraham looked at him and saw his shape and persisted. He saw a light shining in the cave and a single candle burning. Then Abraham coveted that place for his own abode, and his heart and desire were always in the cave.
Abraham did wisely, seeking a grave for Sarah. since when he asked, he did not ask for the cave right then, and he did not say that he wished to part from them. Rather, he said, give me a burial site among you, that I may bury my dead from before me. He did not mention Ephron or the cave, and Ephraim was not there, as it is written. Now Ephraim was sitting among the sons of Heth. So, even so, Abraham told him nothing at that time.
91. Instead, he told them, and he spoke to the sons of Heth. It is conceivable that Abraham wished to be buried among them, among the impure, or that he wished to bond with. Is it conceivable that Abraham wished to be buried among them, among the impure, or that he wished to bond with them to such an extent that he told them, give me a burial site among you? Rather, he acted wisely.
From what Abraham did, we learn proper conduct, because his craving and desire were in that cave. Although Ephron was there, he did not wish to ask of him immediately and to show him the interest he had had in the cave. Hence, he first asked for something he did not need, and of others, not of Ephron, but he said to the sons of Heth, give me a burial site among you.
93. And the sons of Heth told him before Ephron, hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince among us. It is written, now Ephron was sitting among the sons of Heth. Sitting is written with a yod, with a kamatz, because it is not written with the punctuation and can be punctuated with the kamatz, which indicates the right at the start of the discussions. When Abraham spoke, Ephron was already there.
Then he said, hear me, and approach Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me. And should you say that I do this, ask for the cave of Machpelah from Ephron, because my honor is greater than yours, since I have no wish for you. It is not so. When he said, in your presence, meaning let him give it to me in your presence, my aim is to be buried among you, for I desire you, and I am doing this so as to not part with you.
Do you want to stop there? Or just keep going?
Well, we can stop there. That's fine.
Okay. L'chaim. So we're at 400 shekels. Page, let's see,
14.
322. Our starting place for tomorrow. Page 14, item 94. And that is the same chapter 21. All right, I got it written down. I'll try to get posting these videos when I have a chance. I've just been extremely busy, but they'll get up when they get up. Just so we have them archived, in a place where they're all in a row.
Right. So they can follow along. So how's your presidential run going?
Oh yeah, running for president, officially running for president, entered the presidential race for 2020. Yeah, I was, it's about time. I'll be 60 during that election. I'll turn 60. And because I was born the day John F. Kennedy was elected in 1960. So let's see what happens. I don't know. I just put it out there because at this point, anything is better than what's been happening in the last 20 years from what I've seen. I mean, we've had a couple of good presidents, but for the most part, almost anybody can be one. And I think that they should require them to know American national government. And I did take a class in college on that. So I do understand how the government works, which is already a plus.
Trump doesn't.
Yeah.
He's just a stable genius.
So let me say bye, everybody. Shut off that recording. Bye, everybody. See you next time.